alongside the recently tested Hadlow Pro Kite, a matching freestyle board, the Hadlow Descent, was designed in collaboration with the R&D team. The most striking features are the sharply tapered rails and rather small fins. The combination of the board's considerable rocker and the elongated outline give it exceptionally good planing ability for its class. The acceleration behavior is definitely worth highlighting. The board really keeps accelerating continuously so that the full performance is immediately available in the shortest possible time. Of course, that's always the point with freestyle boards. How quickly can I do the next trick? How much run-up do I need? And with the Hadlow Descent, that distance is simply very short. The board was tested with riders weighing 70, 85 and 100 kilograms. The outline of the descent is kept quite straight. In addition, we have this protruding bar along the center line. Other than that, there's nothing particularly striking about the hull, except for the rather strongly pulled-in rails. We're seeing this consistently now with the new duotone boards as well, but not nearly as pronounced as here. Even though the fins here are only 3.5 centimeters long, the lateral drift is perfectly prevented. The rail holds incredibly well, and the board tracks so willingly upwind that it's pure pleasure. A special point is how the board is tuned, from the grip of the rail to the fins. Overall, the board is tuned to be very loose. What's special here is how perfectly the transition back to the rail's grip works. It's such a smooth, harmonious transition. Whether you're turning the board flat on the water surface, like when switching, which really requires a ridiculously small amount of effort, and you don't lose any speed at all. Of course, all of this can be used to balance tricks or to play around with the board, that is, the mix between sliding and the grip on the edge. The transition is so smooth and harmonious, yet it has a complete precision that speaks for itself. We've never experienced anything like this in terms of optimal tuning. The performance in terms of turning ability is also absolutely astonishing. This is due, on the one hand, to the 5.5 centimeter rocker line and the fact that the outline at the tail fits the rocker line perfectly. As a result, you get incredibly tight turning ability with maximum edge hold, so you don't experience any loss of speed here. It's remarkable that the grip at the tail doesn't seem to be negatively affected at all by the small fins. The pulled-in rails running back toward the tail with the fins provide so much grip that everything here feels absolutely smooth and buttery. When it comes to smoothness, there's absolutely nothing to complain about in this class. Of course, this isn't a sofa cushion, it's a board with a really firm setup. But the 5.5 centimeter rocker line, together with the construction, allows it to glide through the water with good damping. And if you're not riding with boots, but instead with the patchwalking combination from Harlem, which is truly unmatched so far in terms of comfort and fit, you can really speak of excellent comfort. Thanks to its completely free tuning, the Descent simply offers wonderful, playful control. The board just does exactly what you want it to do. Even if you haven't executed something perfectly, the board often takes care of the rest for you. In addition, it's a board that, at a length of 1.41 meters, simply isn't tuned to be that wide. It's only 40.5 centimeters wide. As a result, edge-to-edge transitions from front side to back side are, of course, incredibly fast. And everything requires less effort than you might be used to from other boards. Almost all boards on the market have a minimum width of 42 centimeters at this length. The Descent is designed in combination with the Hadlow Pro Kite, so you'd expect this to be a truly 100% purebred freestyle board for freestyle and wake style, meaning unhooked tricks. But the Descent simply, and it has to be said clearly, offers so much more. And in fact, it's also an absolutely outstanding high-performance freeride board and big air board. So that's really quite remarkable. This combination of a fairly straight outline with a rocker line that matches so well, allowing for a truly variable, progressive edging process, whether you edge for a long or short time, so that you can generate maximum line tension, is something we've encountered very, very rarely. And thanks to the width of only 40.5 centimeters, the effort required is manageable even for lighter riders, so even a female rider weighing 70 kilos who rides athletically will feel right at home on this board. Ideally, we would say the optimal weight range is from 75 to 100 kilos. But back to jumping. The tapered edge provides full grip right up to the very last centimeter, and because it extends all the way to the tail, the 3.5 centimeter long fins also come into play, giving you even more grip. This results in truly excellent hold in every situation and under all conditions, allowing you to take off perfectly as the board releases from the water surface exceptionally well. You also never get the feeling that if the kite starts to pull sideways, even just a little bit, you'll be pulled off the edge. In fact, that really does seem almost impossible with this board. On top of that, the board accelerates excellently and reaches a high top speed, which is of course a basic requirement for freeride high performance and big air in order to compete with the best boards in this category. And the Descent can definitely do that. But let's move on to the unhooked performance, meaning the loaded jumps. There are certainly a lot of boards on the market that generate excellent pop, where a slightly stronger rocker works very well with the outline, allowing you to try a precise edging process and realize, okay, this is where you get the most power out. With the Descent, it's just incredibly versatile. So you don't necessarily have to commit to one style. You can use a wide variety of techniques, different radii when edging. Whether you load the jump entirely over the edge or a bit more over the tail, you get really good pop from the tail. And that's true even in the weight range we tested from 70 to 100 kilos. At 100 kilos, there was the comment that the tail tuning could be just a little bit stiffer to make it even more extreme. But up to 90, 95 kilos, this is already truly a perfect performance. On top of that, you get a buttery smooth, absolutely precise landing, which, even if it's not landed perfectly, can easily be corrected thanks to the loose tuning. So, in addition to this monstrous package of performance, there's really no other way to put it, the whole thing is also very forgiving of mistakes. And to top off all this praise, I really have to say, as a former shaper of a custom-made label, allow me that bit of arrogance, this is the very first board we've had in a test where I can honestly say it's definitely even better than what I built myself. Of course, that's all relative, since you naturally always like your own creations much more than others. But nonetheless, this really is a masterpiece when it comes to tuning. Here, the transition from the edge grip to the fins, the transitions from edge grip into looseness, into the slide, it's all so smooth and harmonious, there's no wobble, no twitch at all. When landing, the board sits so solidly, I honestly didn't understand how that's possible with such a loose tail setup over the 3.5 centimeter fin, how that works. But it's really these much more pulled in rails that run all the way to the back, and they already have a pretty steep downward angle. As a result, the rail simply sits at a steeper angle in the water. Still, it doesn't catch an edge. There are no bevels on the rail here that would angle upwards again to make the board easier to turn. Here, the bottom curve just fits perfectly, with all the lines built into a board like this. Everything comes together 100%. And that's not just for unhooked freestyle. Of course, what they were looking for was simply a board that matches the new Hadlow Pro really well in terms of speed and agility. And they've really succeeded at that, no question about it. But ultimately, what came out of the Hadlow Descent is simply a perfect combination of three elements, everything that defines a modern twin tip today. So sure, I'll just leave out the very highest light wind performance for now. For that, you'd need a much flatter bottom curve, but everyone knows that this is of course a board you use in normal to very strong wind conditions, even though, despite the 5.5 centimeters bottom curve, it still keeps going for a long time in light wind and with little pull. Do you need any special riding skills for that? No, absolutely not. Even a complete beginner would immediately get along excellently with this board, as long as they don't just put all their body weight on the back foot and only apply pressure through the tail, trying to achieve maximum upwind performance that way. Even in this particular regard, it's quite amazing just how little pull the Hadlow Descent actually needs to still deliver a truly good, enjoyable ride, meaning it still offers consistently great gliding ability. Just like with the Hadlow Pro Kite that we previously tested and reviewed, the sale price for this product had not yet been set or finalized at the time, and we will make sure to provide it for you in a caption when we launch this video online. But we assume it will be priced similarly to the other boards from Harlem. In conclusion, let us say once again, no, we are not influencers for Harlem. We definitely evaluated and reviewed the board under exactly the same conditions and with the same approach as we always do in our tests.